gang, the other day I was driving around and I saw an older house and I was wondering who built it. And then that triggered something else in my mind. I was looking at Facebook and I saw a post on, there used to be a train in Pagosa. And I was like, train in Pagosa? It's stuff we all take for granted. And it started me thinking about, I'm sure other people are out there wondering about this or that. Here's another one that I always do is there is the legend of the lost gold treasure mountain in the San Juans. And yes, I went looking for it and I've been looking for it. So everybody wants to know about something like that. So I put out to everybody, should I do a podcast? And the overwhelming response was yes. So one of the questions in there was, tell me more about the sawmill, or you need to interview so-and-so, or I want to know about the treasures. That led me to titling my podcast, and it is Back When in Pagosa. The reason why I'm doing this is I am a real estate agent. So occasionally we'll have something about real estate in here, and I work at Sherpa Real Estate. Let's get started. That was a tough one for me, was trying to figure out where to start. You know, there's legends, there's houses, there's a million different things. And I thought, well, let's go back to the beginning, and not to creation. Well, creation of Archuleta County. So that's where my story is going to start, and we'll bounce around from there. But Archuleta County was created in 1885. The prominent family in the area was a prominent rancher, I shouldn't say, but it is also a family, was Jose Archuleta, hence Archuleta County. And Archuleta County was formed when Conejos County was subdivided, and Archuleta County was established on the west side of the mountains. So there's a real estate term, subdivided. Okay, here we go. So I even go down in rabbit holes in my mind right now. When I looked up the date it was created, it made me read a few things about it, and I read that Fort Lewis was here, and then that was the reminder. Oh yeah, Fort Lewis was here. And then I read a little bit more in that article, and it came up that there was a Lieutenant Colonel William Lewis. Next domino drops is like, Lewis, we have a Lewis Street here in town, or parallels the river through town. So it kind of ties things together, and there'll be some rabbit holes as we do this podcast. Anyway, back to the county. As I mentioned, Archuleta County was formed after a prominent rancher who actually, I believe, was located somewhat in New Mexico. We're right near the border, so I believe some of it was there, but prominent in the fact, in my mind, I was blown away when I read that he had approximately 50,000 head of cattle and 75,000 head of sheep. That's in 1885. Or, around there, maybe 1889 to 1892 or something like that. But that's monster. I mean, you hear any ranches nowadays at 50,000 head of cattle. It's a big outfit, and this is a big outfit in 1884. As you can imagine, when the Archuleta County was formed, the predominant family, the locals, were here, and here come the newcomers. The cultural traditions, the land, the water, the property rights, were all here and established at some level. And you got to look back then, and then we're going to bring it forward to today. Back then, things were meets and bounds descriptions, real estate term, and meets and bounds were based off of like a tree with a blaze mark, or a canyon rim, or a ridge that ran to a peak and went and around. That was how a lot of the big ranches were done. In town, there were lots and blocks. So fast forward to today, we have pins, property pins, that mark things instead of trees. And there's GIS locations, way different times, but same thing they had back then. I tell you all this because back then there were tensions, and the tensions came to light. One of the best examples of tension was in 1892 when there was a big shootout, the Montoya Howie gun battle that took place up on, well, I don't know where it took place exactly, where the West Fork and the East Fork of the San Juan come together, somewhere out in that range, towards the bottom of Wolf Creek Pass. Montoya was moving roughly 20,000 head of sheep through that country, maybe to a new grazing area. And Howie was a county commissioner at the time and a cattleman. And you can see the tension, sheep versus cattle, which was tension all over this county. This is just a reflection of what was going on at that time. Anyhow, the gun battle ensued, and Howie was shot and killed. Montoya was wounded and hauled, from my understanding, to Durango, which is about 60 miles from here. Back then, it was a minimum of a 2-day travel to get to Durango. So the trial was in Durango. Witnesses are here in Archuleta County. They got to go to Durango. So this is a big ordeal for this little county. Anyhow, the outcome was Montoya was acquitted. The shooting was in self-defense. To add a little bit of color to this sidebar to this big battle, the sheriff at the time, Billy Kearns, who arrested Montoya, had frostbite in his trigger finger. And he had lost his trigger finger. So Billy had to fan his 6-gun shooter to shoot. Not that he was doing that there, but that's the sidebar story is that the sheriff didn't have a trigger finger. So to roll this on up, today we're not arguing about open range, but we still are having disputes about land use, property rights, zoning, growth, development. All those things are a thing of today, which, by the way, was happening way back then. I don't know who or what's going to shape the future in Pagosa, but I'm pretty sure that somebody at the very end of this will say, back when in Pagosa. Again, everybody, my name is Lynn Johnson. I am a managing broker and also an agent at Sherpa Real Estate. This is going to be a learning process for me as well as you guys. We'll probably get better in the future, or at least I hope I get better. You guys don't have to, but we'll try and do this a couple times a month, and I look forward to you guys tuning in. Thank you.